One way, if you got a circular saw, a lot of people call it a skill saw. You can do it kind of like I did on the miter saw. You can make your cuts. Make this cut. If you got the depth set right, it'll cut down to this line. And then you make a few passes like I did. And then you can bust it out. And then you might want to clean it up with a chisel, or you might want to ride your saw back and forth to clean it out. Let's see how we do it. Now one thing is, alright, my plate is narrow on this side, so the farther I get, it wants to tip over. You gotta make sure you hold it up flat where it don't tip over. You can take your saw. If you notice, I turn this around where my plate, the wide part of my plate, will be resting here. Easy to keep it level. And that cleaned up a little bit. Might have a little gouge every now and then, but it'll do the job. Also, if you notice, I got a clamp. I took another timber, clamped it together with a quick grip. Help stabilize this piece while I'm working on it, where it won't be flipping over side to side. So clamps, you can't have enough clamps. I got all kind of clamps, and that's just part of them. If you haven't got some clamps, you need to go get some. All right, let's try another way. See how this works. It's all about taking the tools you got, learning how to use them, and then you can apply it to whatever situation you got. You can make it happen. All right, we're gonna make the same cut. Same cut we made the first time. That's another way you could do it. It didn't go quite through. So what do we do? When you take, if you got a sawzall, you finish it up with a sawzall. That's a good way to do it. What if all you had was a sawzall? There you go. Hell, that might be the best way to do it. Before we get started, thought I'd share a little something with you. It ain't hard for me to get off topic, you know. But can you see that pencil? I hadn't got a pencil from Main and Builder Supply since I went to work at Trenton. And that was in 1997. So this pencil is probably older than some of you guys in my class. And we are always running across situations that you will have to find half of a measure. If you measure this piece of wood and this whatever width, whatever length, whatever width this way, whatever thickness, every day you're going to have to find half of something. If it's half of the width of this room, if it's half of the height to the ceiling, in construction, you're always having to find the center of something. So I thought we'd go over a few little tips. 4 inches. What's half of 4? 2 inches, right? Sometimes you might find yourself in a situation where I ain't sure if I know how to get an answer to that. We'll start off with something you know. Alright? I know half of 4 is 2. Alright, so what's half of 4? 2. What's half of 1/2? Always remember this. If you want to cut a fraction in half, you want half of that. So in this case, we come up with 1/2. All you do is double that bottom number every time. So I want half of this because I'm trying to get half of 4.5. Well, we got half of 4 is 2. So half of a half, double the bottom number. Half of 4.5, 2 1/4. Okay? Alright. What's half of 4 3/4? Half of 4, 2. Half of 3/4 is 3. Double the bottom number. 8. See, and if you learn little tricks like this, and don't forget them, you can use them all the time. Alright, now we got 2 feet, 4 1/2 inches. What's half of that? What's half of 2 feet? 1 foot. What's half of 4 inches? 2 inches. What's half of 1/2? 1/4. So 2 feet, 4.5 inches is 1 foot, 2 1/4 inches. That's simple. Alright, let's add a little something else to it. What's half of 3? What's half of $3? 1.5, right? So that'd be 1 1/2. Half of 3 is 1 1/2 feet, which would be, how many inches are in a foot? 12 inches in 1 foot. So we got 1 1/2 feet. Then actually that would be 1 foot 6 inches. Okay? So half of 3 feet is 1 foot 6 inches. Half of 4 inches is 2 inches. Half of 1/2 is 1/4. So now we got 1 foot 6 inches, and we got 2 1/4 inches. So we just add them together. So that'll be 1 foot 8 1/4. You want to know how to do the math, and it's going to be a lot of times we have to do a lot of math. But when you divide any kind of measurement in two, most of the time you can do it in your head pretty quick. And that's experience. You're going to learn. Experience really helps you. Like, okay, let's get over here. What's half of 5? Half of 4 is 2. Half of 5 is 2 1/2. 2 1/2 inches. right? Half 4 is 2. What's half of 5.5 inches? Well, half of 5, 2 and 1/2. Half of 1/2 is 1/4. So we just got to add them together. 2 and 1/2 plus 1/4. If you know how to read your ruler pretty good, you get familiar with fractions, you know, you can do that in your head easy. 2 and 1/2 plus 1/4 is 2 and 3/4. So a half is 2/4. So 2, 3/4. Now, if you're not sure about how to do that, you can look at it on your ruler. Look at your ruler. We'll just say, all right, I got 2 1/2 right here, and then I got to add 1/4. That's 1/4. So that would be 2 and 3/4. All right. Now how about 5 and 3/4? All right, so half 5 is 2 1/2. Half 3/4 is what? 3/8. We got to add them two together. 2 1/2. Let's say here 2 1/2 plus 3/8. 1, 2, 3. That's 2 7/8. But the more you do it, you get to where you can do it in your head quicker. All right, so we got 2 feet 5 inches. Half of 2 feet is 1 foot. Half of 5 inches is 2 1/2 inches. So 2 foot 5 is 1 foot 2 1/2. All right, so we had 2 foot 5 1/2. The more we do it, the easier it gets. Half of 2 is 1. Half of 5 2 1/2. Half of a half is 1/4. Add them two, so we got 1 foot 2 3/4. Pretty simple, ain't it? So if you had a 2x4, and we got to split it down the middle, it's 3 1/2 inches. 3 1/2. So what's half of 3 1/2? Half of this measure. What's half of that? We got to split it right down the middle. So half of 3 is 1 1/2 inches. Half of 1/2, 1/4. Add them two together, that's 1 3/4. Right? If you don't know how to add 1/2 and 3/4, then if I give you $1.50 and then I give you another quarter, you don't know what you got. You got 1 3/4. $1.75. All right. A lot of times we don't think we know something, but it's just because we can't relate to anything. You already know how to do it. You're just not relating it yet. Let's take a minute and see if you got it. Pause the video and work these problems out, then get back with me. All right, you got them all done. Let's check and see how you did. So you got 6 1/2. What's half of 6 1/2? Half 6 is 3. Half of 1/2 is 1/4. It's 3 1/4, right? Okay. Half of 7 inches. 3 1/2 inches. Is that what you got? All right, half of 7 1/2 inches. So that would be 3 1/2. It's half of 7 plus 1/4 equals 3 3/4. You getting it? Half 7 feet. Okay, that's a little different. Not 7 inches, 7 feet. So half of 7 feet is 3 1/2 feet, and that's 3 feet, 6 inches. You always got to pay attention to whether it's feet or inches. 11 1/2 inches. Half 11 is what? 5 1/2. So 5 1/2 plus 1/4, 5 3/4. 4 6 3/4. That's pretty easy. Half 4 2 feet. Half 6 inches is 3 inches. Half 3/4 is 3/8. All right. Number 7 is 7 6 inches. So 7 feet, half of that. 3 6 inches plus 3 inches. 3 9. The more you do it, the easier it gets. All right, 8 10 1/2 inches. Half of 8 4. Half of 10 inches is 5 inches. And then we got to add half of 1/2. 4 5 1/4. Last, clicked a little too quick, but 15 feet is 7 6 inches. Half of 7 inches is 3 1/2 inches. And then half of a half is 1/4. So that would be 7 foot. And we got to add the 6 inches plus the 3 inches. That's 9. And then the half plus 1/4 is 3/4. A hacksaw is a very good tool to cut rebar with. You can use a side grinder with a cutting disc. That's a lot better. I cut a lot faster than a hacksaw. But you will need to make sure you got some wraparound safety glasses or a shield. Maybe some long sleeves. A sawzall with a good metal cutting blade is a good tool to cut metal and rebar with. That's what I'm talking about. Time to cut a little rebar, but I need to get this rebar where I can manage it a little easier. I had this left over from the job quite a while back, and it's like over 30 feet long. Before I cut my rebar, I want to make me a little chair to hold my rebar in. What I want to do is something like this. Take a piece of wood like this and cut a V in it so the rebar will lay down in it, and it'll help hold it while I'm cutting it. It'll look like And cut a little V in it like this. Cut this out. And then all the way down, you know, cut it all the way down. And then the rebar will lay in it, and it won't be rolling on me. It won't be rolling, it'll hold it. I want to cut that 45-degree angle. I got the saw set up on a 45-degree angle. And I got the height adjusted to where I think it's, you know, gonna meet it. All I want to do is meet it in the middle. How it's gonna work out. Alright, so now I can set the rebar in there. I'm going to screw this down to my table. So now I'm going to mount it to my table. Get right here on the edge. Before you screw this down, you always want to pre-drill your holes in this piece. The wood you're screwing down. The reason you want to pre-drill is you really want the screw to, you don't want it to bite in here. You want it to bite here. So it don't matter if this hole is big enough, the screw can just go through. And it really works better when you do that. It helps so keep it splitting, it'll make it pull down better too. Okay. Alright, now, so we're going to cut 16-inch pieces to keep from measuring them all. We're just going to mark 16. And we're going to lay our rebar in, slide it down to the right here. Take your porta band or your hacksaw or grinder, whatever you got. There you go. Work smarter, not harder. Alright, we got our jig that we made. We got it mounted so we can start our rebar. We got to cut 24 pieces. So we got all of our material cut, ready to go. So next time I see you, we're going to start putting our project together. See you next time.